Hello everyone, Joel here. We did a whole video on the best new turn-based RPGs of 2026 and you guys absolutely ate it up. But then I made the mistake of looking at my backlog of games and going, damn, I have to update the list now. So here we are again. More games, more turns, more strategic decisions that make you feel like a genius right before everything collapses and you reload your save for the 6th time. If you missed the first video, go watch it after this. But don't worry, this one stands completely on its own. Kicking off at number 15, a game that looked at turn-based RPGs and said, you know what this needs? Jazz hands. Meet People of Note, a turn-based RPG that's also a full-blown musical. Before you bail, this thing goes embarrassingly hard for something that sounds like a theater kid's school project. You play as Cadence, an aspiring singer trying to win a rigged song contest while a corrupt boy band has held the crown for 9 straight years. The world is a continent where every city runs on a different genre. K-pop districts, EDM cyberpunk cities, a full rap kingdom, it's Spotify's homepage fused with a fantasy atlas. Combat runs on stanzas and measures layered with song stones and remix stones. You will be theory crafting at 2 AM. Bosses have a crescendo meter that makes them progressively unhinged, like a first date after the 3rd drink. The soundtrack changes genre every turn in battle and the voice acting is stellar. A few thin areas on side quests, but overall, People of Note absolutely slaps. Number 14, we've got a game that looked at Pokemon and said, hold my Pokeball. Ladies and gentlemen, EvoCreo 2. This is a monster-catching RPG dripping with that golden DS-era Pokemon charm, pixel art world, type matchups, evolution lines, the whole package. And unlike its predecessor, which launched as a microtransaction-stuffed mobile game, this sequel shows up on Steam actually respecting your wallet. The creature roster packs 300 plus Creo to catch, train, and evolve, with no level caps, multiple color variants, and over 200 swappable moves. The combat brings genuinely interesting depth too, running on an energy pool system instead of limited PP, meaning you can actually pre-buff before tough fights like the strategist you pretend to be. People are clocking 50, 60, even 100 plus hours and still going. Another said it's the first creature collector they actually wanted to complete the full encyclopedia for. Is it perfect? Of course not. Movement feels clunky, combat damage scaling gets weird at higher levels, and status effects will haunt you between battles like an ex who won't move on. But as a Pokemon alternative that doesn't bleed your bank account dry, EvoCreo 2 absolutely delivers. Forget epic battles and world-ending stakes, what if you just farmed some crops and vibed? Meet Seeds of Calamity. This cozy farming sim RPG takes place 20 years after something called the Great Calamity, which honestly sounds way more dramatic than the actual gameplay suggests, and I mean that as a compliment. You settle into a quiet little village, grow crops, help neighbors, and explore dungeons. If you're a Stardew Valley fan, you've been here before, but stick around because this one brings some genuinely fresh ideas. Your companion is a literal spellbook that follows you around like a fluffy magical pet and actually fights for you in turn-based dungeon combat. No sword swinging, no mana juggling, just your little book homie absolutely cooking enemies with elemental spells while you watch proudly like a parent at a school play. The dungeon system is a roguelite style room-by-room setup where you choose your path. Think choose your own adventure meets classic JRPG combat. Minor gripes, the village feels small, quest slots are capped at 3 which gets frustrating fast, and content runs thin after the first stretch. But here's the kicker, this was built by one developer. For that alone, absolute respect. Seeds of Calamity is wholesome, charming, and genuinely worth your time. Put down the farming tools, cause now we're exploring a ruined kingdom. Lost Flame is a roguelike turn-based RPG set in the shattered kingdom of Hyreth. And yes, it's exactly as ominous as it sounds. Some players even straight up called it Dark Souls without the reaction time. And honestly, that's the most accurate description I've ever heard. It's tactical, it's punishing, and it will absolutely humble you. What makes Lost Flame stand out is how it handles combat. Most roguelikes let you face tank everything until you die, but not here. Enemy attacks are telegraphed on the grid, meaning you can literally dodge them by stepping away if you're paying attention. The moment you get cocky, you're dead. The moment you stop being cocky, also probably dead, but in a more dignified way. Weapons completely change how you play. Short sword, lightning fast, surgical strikes, halberd, slow, but you're basically a lawnmower for anything standing near you. Over 120 ring and amulet combinations mean your build options are genuinely deep. Oh, and this was also built by one developer. What are these solo devs eating? However, the UI needs polish, some enemy summoner encounters feel cheap, and the save system will delete your run if you're not careful, which is character building, let's say. Now we're going full medieval, just knights, honor, betrayal, and Excalibur. Welcome to Legends of the Round Table. This tactical RPG takes the Arthurian legends seriously, like they pulled from 13th century French literary sources the Vulgate cycle. This game did more historical research than most people do for their college thesis. Lancelot, Gawain, Merlin, the whole squad is here, and they actually act like they're supposed to. Inspired by Darkest Dungeon and Banner Saga, the game blends turn-based tactical combat with permanent consequences and story-driven choices. Every knight has a personality, a chivalry code, and can straight up die forever if you play recklessly. Managing relationships between knights affects loyalty, rivalries, and even what cards you can use in battle. It's basically medieval HR management, except failure means someone gets a sword through the chest instead of a strongly worded email. And yes, card-driven combat on a hex grid. Cards represent chivalric virtues like courage, loyalty, and selflessness. Seasons also affect outcomes. You can fight honorably or dishonorably. Honestly, there's so much depth here it'll make your head spin initially. Visually, it looks like an illuminated manuscript came to life. Hand-painted backgrounds, medieval music on actual lutes and harps. The learning curve is steep enough to give you a nosebleed. But if you survive the onboarding, Legends of the Round Table is a proper, ambitious, genuinely stunning RPG. Before we continue the video, I want to inform you that right now, there are tons of crazy deals in instant gaming, especially if you love RPG games. Remember how expensive modern gaming lately? Well, not anymore, since you can get so many amazing titles with crazy discounts in instant gaming. Can you believe that just with $10 or even less than $5, you can enjoy one of the best gaming experiences in your life? Just look at these titles. It used to cost like $30 or even more than $40. And to make things even crazier, some games even drop so far to just $1. If you're a smart guy, you know what you have to do. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games, and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Buckle up, because this one is the classic, insanely beautiful disaster entry on our list. Spark Ignite's premise is genuinely intriguing. Two orphans named Ash and Clover go on a pilgrimage, stumble onto a divine secret involving a star god's century-old wish-granting power, and suddenly everything is morally complicated and bloody. The Star Resonance combat system adds real tactical depth. Positioning matters, class synergy matters, action order matters. When it clicks, and visually, absolutely stunning. Next-gen lighting on 2.5D pixel art creates these cinematic medieval scenes that look like someone gave a Renaissance painting a glow up. Here is the however though. This is early access, and brother, it shows harder than a freshman at prom. Sound design is practically non-existent outside of the background music. Opening chests, enemy attacks, footsteps, all silent. Like playing a movie with the TV on mute. The English translation reads like it went through Google Translate during a power outage. advantage. Some bugs are genuinely game-breaking, and the fishing minigame is reportedly the worst one a human has ever created. But the developers are actively listening and updating monthly. The foundation underneath all this chaos is genuinely promising. Right now, rough around every single edge. 6 months from now, could be something truly special. Number 9, and we're trading swords for spreadsheets. Gladiator spreadsheets. You inherit a broke, abandoned gladiator school, and your job is to turn this embarrassing pile of sand and broken dreams into a champion-producing machine. Think Football Manager, but everyone can die permanently and nobody gets a transfer fee. The combat is turn-based, one-on-one, methodical, and genuinely satisfying. No predefined classes. Any gladiator can equip any weapon, armor, or skill combination, so your build creativity is basically unlimited. Short sword assassin? Absolutely. Heavy armored tank who moves like a disappointed grandmother? Valid strategy. The management layer is where things get spicy though. Resources are tight, training costs money, overscheduling your fighters leads to injuries, and permadeath means losing your best gladiator hits like losing your starting lineup the night before playoffs. Every victory feels genuinely earned because every defeat genuinely hurts. You can sink about 20 or more than 40 hours in, praising the atmosphere, the dark pixel art style, and the punishing but fair difficulty curve. Minor issues, some UX roughness, a few bugs, and the side systems like contract jobs feel a bit underdeveloped. The game went quiet for a while, but the developer came back, shipped updates, and even issued a heartfelt public apology. Number 8, and we're going full nerd mode, like maximum nerd mode. If you don't know what Wizardry or Final Fantasy V is, buckle up because class is in session. Dungeon Antiqua 2 is here. So the concept is basically, what if classic dungeon crawling met old school Final Fantasy, specifically Final Fantasy V? Final Fantasy V job system is legendary among a very specific breed of RPG fan who enjoys min-maxing builds at 3 AM for no reason other than pure chaotic joy. Dungeon Antiqua 2 takes that energy and cranks it. Where FF5 gave you 1 ability slot for cross-classing, this game gives you 3. 3 slots of absolute Frankenstein build potential, mixing and mashing jobs into beautiful broken abominations. A Mage Knight Thief hybrid that somehow heals and tanks. Absolutely legal and encouraged. The dungeon crawling is slightly more forgiving than the first game. Better visibility, cleaner navigation, but still keeps you honest with hidden doors, sneaky enemies, and a fun strafing mechanic that feels hilariously modern for something dressed in Super Famicom clothing. The downsides? The game runs out of content faster than expected. Only 10 jobs total feels thin, loot upgrades are sparse, and the friction that made the original special got sanded down a little too smooth. But for fans of Bravely Default, Etrian Odyssey, or anyone who genuinely enjoys theory crafting party builds for fun, Dungeon Antiqua 2 is a delightfully nerdy good time. Put on your black cape cause at the 7th place we're playing Vampires Fall 2. You start as a regular villager, boring, powerless, probably owns a small farm, until a vampire attacks you and suddenly you're pale, fanged, and craving blood. Your neighbors are understandably weirded out. But conveniently, an ancient prophecy says a turned villager will defeat the Vampire King. And hey, that's you now? Congrats on your promotion from peasant to prophesied savior, I guess. Yes, the Chosen One trope is older than the vampires in this game, but Early Morning Studios sells it well enough that you stop caring and just enjoy the ride. The turn-based combat is where this thing really sinks its teeth. Most turns give you one action, but every third turn is a combo turn tracked by literal moon phases on screen, where you can chain multiple actions together using focus points. It's a simple but clever system that keeps battles feeling dynamic without overwhelming you. The vampire skill trees, anger, control, vitality, and deceit offer genuinely fun build variety. 3 magic types: Holy, Dark, and Arcane. Each counter different enemy types, so there's actual strategy involved rather than just spamming your strongest move repeatedly like a golden retriever. Side quests are plentiful, the Gothic world is immersive, and the game is available on mobile, so you can drain enemies of their life force during your morning commute. Now we have a legendary 3DS classic, freshly polished and slapped onto the modern platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, Bravely Default is so back. For the uninitiated, 4 crystals, a world-ending chasm, a sad villager, a wind priestess, a playboy amnesiac, and an unflinching knight walk into a JRPG scene. It's tropey and it knows it's tropey. It commits to being tropey with such confidence that you just respect it. The real star is the Brave/Default system, still one of the smartest combat mechanics ever designed. You can bank turns for later using Default, or blow multiple turns at once by braving, which is incredible when it works and absolutely catastrophic when it doesn't. Enemies use the same system against you, so every fight is this beautiful chess match of timing, aggression, and controlled panic. Layer on top of that a job system where ability combinations break the game in the most satisfying ways imaginable, like building a dodge tank that generates infinite BP while enemies swing at air. And you've got a combat system that swallows hundreds of hours without blinking. Now, the elephant in the room, the second half of this game makes you repeat content multiple times. It's the most controversial JRPG design decision since someone thought random encounters every 3 steps was fun. That being said, Bravely Default remains an absolute classic, at least for JRPG nerds. I need you to stay with me because this one is unhinged in the best possible way. From the creators of Binding of Isaac, we got Mewgenics. It's a roguelite tactical RPG where you breed cats, build a cat army, and send them to fight cosmic horrors. One of your cats can carry a rocket launcher, another can wield the Necronomicon. The gameplay loop is genuinely brilliant. Manage your cat household between runs, then send a squad of 4 into turn-based tactical combat on isometric maps. The twist? After each run, surviving cats retire permanently. Your next team? Their children. So you're essentially running a generational cat breeding program optimized for violence. The breeding system is where this game ascends to another dimension. Cats inherit abilities, mutations, and disorders from their parents. Some players even had a spreadsheet tracking cat lineages by hour 15. Disorders include ADHD that forces you to act within 5 seconds, dyslexia that scrambles all your ability descriptions, and some phobia that kills your cat on their 13th spellcast. Class synergies are also wild, like Necromancer plus Butcher spawning swarms of flies every turn, and Mages healing the whole team while frozen. However, early game information is frustratingly sparse, the UI can get chaotic with 30 plus cats, and RNG can absolutely destroy your best laid plans. That being said, Mewgenics is still one of the most creative, chaotic, and deeply addictive roguelites in years.
Might be a while before you find another.
Number 4, we have a 1930s noir steampunk RPG where you fight in flying cars over a floating New York City. Aether Iron is what happens when someone asked what if BioShock Infinite met a speakeasy, and then added turn-based car combat. You play a cynical smuggler with a flying gangster mobile, beam cannon on the hood, pistols on the rear, weaving through aerial highways, dropping mines, and absolutely ruining innocent bystanders' transmissions. The car combat plays like a turn-based Twisted Metal, action points, positioning, weapon angles, and it is genuinely thrilling once it clicks. Between fights, the game shifts into visual novel territory with fully voiced dialogue, 2D environments, and skill checks using 2d6 dice rolls. Think Disco Elysium's energy but leaner and faster paced, less existential philosophy, more violent revolution. The storytelling is sharp and surprisingly reactive. One moment you're crashing a fancy party full of kink enthusiasts in animal masks, the next you're accidentally ruining a street kid's life by trying to help her. Some minor gripes: the difficulty spikes suddenly at Act 1's end, you can't swap loadouts mid-combat, and skill check failures mean replaying entire conversations. It can be annoying at times, but I'd say it's still manageable. Number 3, and we're going full sci-fi military commander mode because MENACE is here and it means business. From the creators of Battle Brothers, one of the most brutally beloved turn-based games ever made, comes their sophomore effort. You're a Republic Marine Corps commander, stranded in a lawless star system with a damaged ship, no communications, and a whole galaxy of problems to solve with overwhelming firepower. The combat is the absolute crown jewel here. Instead of XCOM's full team moves then enemy moves format, MENACE does something smarter. Units alternate one at a time, creating this constant back and forth tension where every single activation matters. Action points, suppression mechanics, cover systems, flanking, it's deeply tactical without being overwhelming, and the difficulty curve is actually smooth this time, unlike Battle Brothers, which threw you into a meat grinder immediately and said good luck. Weapons are gloriously varied: LMGs, RPGs, mortars, flamethrowers, jetpack mechs, and squad building is genuinely addictive. The strategic layer on your ship is a bit thin currently, no research trees or weapon manufacturing yet, but what's there works cleanly.
Missed.
Taking up cover! Don't worry. Very good.
Esoteric Ebb is if Disco Elysium meets Dungeons & Dragons, but that description somehow undersells it. This is a literary, politically charged, absolutely unhinged fantasy RPG where you play a cleric who woke up in a morgue, doesn't know who pushed him into a river, and has 5 days to solve a mystery involving an exploded tea shop before the city's first ever election. Your character's attributes literally talk to you. High Intelligence is a deranged arch-wizard obsessed with reviving ancient magic empires, and High Strength is a well-meaning but aggressively lawful paternal figure who loves quests. It's the funniest, most creative character system in years. The world looks like familiar fantasy at first glance, then casually reveals the planet might be a hollow dome with a gravity flip underground. Combat encounters are rare but deeply reactive. Spells, companions, prior choices, initiative order, all weaving together like a tabletop DM who's been planning your session for years. You can even use a spell called Grease to instant KO an assassin by making them slip off a bridge. Absolutely phenomenal. At just $25, Esoteric Ebb might genuinely be the best RPGs of 2026. And here we are, the crown jewel of our list, the game that looked at every other turn-based RPG and said, cute, but have you tried bonding with a giant dragon? In this game, you're a princess, or prince, it's your call, commanding an elite squad of monster riders called Rangers, investigating a mysterious crystallization disaster threatening both human and monster territories while war looms on the horizon. It sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon. Then it punches you in the feeling so hard you need a moment. The story is genuinely epic. Emotional twists, mature undertones, surprisingly deep characters, all wrapped in a game that also has adorable little piglets racing on mushroom tracks. Combat is a gloriously deep rock, paper, scissors system. Technical beats speed, speed beats power, power beats technical, layered with elemental weaknesses, body part targeting, 6 customizable monsties, and a kinship system where you literally ride your monster for devastating combo attacks. The Rite of Channeling lets you transfer genes between monsters, creating absolute powerhouse builds. My guy Narga became an unstoppable murder machine through pure gene optimization. Nothing personal, it's just science. The exploration is fantastic, habitat restoration adds genuine environmental depth, and the monster roster is stunningly diverse. Monster Hunter Stories 3 is the complete package, emotional, strategic, gorgeous, and endlessly replayable. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your favorites that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!